need to eat regularly after having weight loss surgery. We should be eating regularly before surgery as well. Eating regularly helps you regulate your appetite. After surgery, it helps you chip away towards your protein every day and ensures as we get more protein across the day, you're less likely to have hunger and cravings later in the day. It helps us manage some of that emotional eating if that's something there for you.
Welcome to the Bariatric Nutrition Coach Podcast, where we empower you with weight loss surgery, nutrition knowledge, mindset advice, and inspiration so you succeed in your weight and health journey. I'm your host, Jane Stoltz, and I am a bariatric dietitian who has helped over 1,300 people on their weight loss surgery journeys. I'm also a solo mum, lover of long walks while listening to podcasts, partial to a glass of wine, and the ocean is my happy place. Join me as I dive deep into bariatric nutrition and lifestyle topics and deliver them to you in bite-sized, palatable episodes every Monday. Now let's go.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Bariatric Nutrition Coach Podcast. So, as you can tell from the title of the podcast, we are talking about how to avoid weight regain. Whenever I talk about weight regain as part of the bariatric journey, I know it's a popular, for want of a better word, topic. It's a topic people want to know more about because it's such a common challenge. So we're going to get into that, but before we do, I'm starting off with a listener shout out. Hello to Paul. Paul went into the show notes. This is some time ago. Sorry, Paul, it's taken me so long. Went into the show notes and clicked on the link Ask Jane. That's where you can ask a question that I will cover in my podcast, in a podcast episode. And Paul's got a question. Or if people have given me a shout out in their social media and helped share my podcast, because I don't advertise my podcast, it's really just through word of mouth. So if you have a question, if you want to know me to do an episode on a particular topic, and I did one recently on reflux, and thank you so much, Glenda, she went back into the form and said thank you so much for that podcast. That was really lovely. Because when you fill out the form, you don't have to give your surname or anything other than your first name. So questions or even comments or feedback, love it. Beautiful. So Paul put in some time ago, sorry if this has been covered. I'm a male in the UK and was just wondering if many men had surgery. And it's really a great question. Bariatric surgery has been seen, and I'll talk about statistics, predominantly more in the females for a range of reasons. And not so much the aesthetic, but there's a big cohort of women wanting to have or needing to have some bariatric surgery to help support them have increased fertility, having babies. Maybe there is that. There's some aesthetic aspect to it as well, and just feeling good. So it's very much seen as a female domain, but many more women are having surgery. And so, the men can feel a little bit, they're outnumbered. And what's lovely now is I'm seeing more, and I'm trying to share more, male voices across the world. There are more male voices in the bariatric community. There are several great podcasts that have men on the podcast sharing their journey. And when you're going through something like the bariatric journey, it's so powerful and helpful to have people that you listen to, people that you can really relate to. And of course, you're going to relate to a person of the opposite sex that's struggling with something you're struggling with. But it's also really lovely to have somebody, if you're a bloke, being able to listen to other men and the things that what's important to them and how they're finding it, and they're getting their journey, sharing their journey. So yes, I just want to talk about it in a bit more detail. Okay, now statistics, or how many men having surgery will increasing from what I see statistics-wise. When it comes to probably not about country, but really area, region, and surgery centre, there's going to be different numbers, definitely different numbers. When I worked with a bariatric surgeon under the roof of this very busy bariatric centre, he would travel north in our state to an area that was very much what we call fly in, fly out, because we have a lot of resources in mining. So he would go there and there'd be a big cohort of men, many more men. And so we had in our surgery centre quite a few men. It wasn't 50-50 with women and men, but we had probably more than maybe some other. But when I look online and do a bit of research for you, Paul, roughly 20% of surgeries are unmade. But that really is I suppose it gives you a ballpark, but you find that each bariatric centre is slightly different in different areas of the world, and maybe rural and here might be slightly different. And yeah, so I hope that gives you a bit of an idea. I think it's definitely one increasing. And what happens is when more men have surgery, they share their journey, decrease any kind of stigma, and then it becomes more acceptable and then it increases. So please reach out again if you want to know more about the podcast with more male voices. I'm going to see what I can remember on the spot right now. Barry Nation, the waiting table. I've gone blank. I know there's another one. There's two Aussie ones. So yeah, just searching through. And usually the podcasts will have the faces of people that are on the podcast, the key podcasters. So you can actually have a look and see which ones include men, because it can be great to hear more male voices and then sharing their journey. So Paul, thank you so much for that question. Thank you for using the Ask Jane form. Sorry it's taken me so long to get back to you, so to speak. So let's dive into the podcast. So as I mentioned before, weight regain is a topic that gets a lot of attention. People want to know more about it because it's such a common challenge after weight loss surgery. Now, I want to start by saying that some weight regain is expected. When you go through, and this is just a very much of a big picture kind of progression through the bariatric journey. Everyone's journey is slightly different. We have surgery, you go through your dietary stages, you get on diet and your weight loss goes, you're in your weight loss phase, you get to what we call kind of your lowest weight, and then your weight goes up a bit. We expect that. It goes up a bit and then we expect it to plateau, okay? How much it goes up depends. Some people a little, some people a bit more. I don't like to put a figure on it. But if we look retrospectively and if we chart it and we can look at it visually, because I'm a really visual person, you go down, you hit your lowest weight, you're not going to stay ever at your lowest weight, you come up a bit and you plateau off. Because as you progress in your bariatric journey, and in the first year, 18 months, there's a lot of change. When you start plateauing off, often people are a bit more active, get a bit more muscle, the body composition changes a bit and then settles, and we can say that that's your maintenance weight or your new weight, okay? Now, I wanted to do this podcast to come back to some of the things I haven't spoken about in some time because they're really so valuable. It warrants talking about them very, very regularly. When we are looking at maintaining weight, and that means avoiding weight regain, we are not wanting just to focus on what you eat. Yes, I work with my clients on what to eat, good choices, how does the plate look, focusing on lean protein, all of those things. But I also spend a lot of time at working on the eating habits, and I call them weight loss surgery foundation eating habits. I've got a past podcast episode, that I have, if you can look at the list, on foundation eating habits. I'm going to be talking about them a bit more today because these habits are so important to, one, establish, learn, and foster to embed and keep practicing. Because really the goal of the bariatric diet, yes, we can do vitamins and minerals and all of that, but essentially it's to keep you satisfied at a lower energy intake. You need less energy to be weight maintaining after having weight loss surgery than pre-surgery. So we want to keep you satisfied at a lower energy intake. And yes, we leverage protein, we leverage fiber to keep you satisfied, but also it's not just what you eat, it's how you eat. So I'm very passionate on practicing and establishing these key habits. And I bang on about them all the time. And to speak to any of my clients, they know all about them because we work through them and we check on them. And I really want to explain here in my podcast what my clients know is really the benefits and why are these habits so powerful and important to foster.
Now tell me, is this you? You have had your bariatric surgery and you're feeling lost, you're lacking support and you don't know what to eat and when. Or you may have noticed after your surgery, your hunger and cravings have started to return and you are scared you won't reach your goals. You may have had some weight regain and you want to stop the weight regain and lose some more weight. You may be pre-surgery and you want support to be fully prepared for your weight loss surgery journey. If any of these sound like you, then listen up. I have developed my Bariatric Nutrition Bootcamp just for you. My coaching program provides education, coaching and community for people getting ready for their weight loss surgery and at every stage after their surgery.
You were so fantastic. You didn't just go, here you go, off you go. You were like, right, here you go. Let's do it step by step. And it's that step by step. If somebody's prepared to help you like that, it's immeasurable. It's priceless.
Your help just changed the game for me, right? It just changed the trajectory of my ability to understand what my body's telling me and trusting it. That was a hard one, right? Because my body, I can override it in a lot of ways in the past.
I think that hiring Jane has actually been the best thing that I've done. I was lost. I had no idea what to expect. I've never done bariatric surgery before. I've never had it done before. So yes, you have all the information from your surgeon and from their nutritionist and all that sort of stuff. If you have lifetime support, that's great. But a lot of times you don't. So you need to take that next step and invest in yourself because that's what it is. It's the most amazing investment that I've made.
There are 4 key areas that I focus on with my clients in my Bariatric Nutrition Bootcamp. One is the Bariatric Nutrition Basics. You will learn what and how to eat so you feel satisfied, reach your protein and fluid goals, and have less cravings, and know how to manage your hunger in the future. Meal ideas and meal planning. You'll learn to plan meals and snacks that you like, so you have great options on hand when it comes time to eat. Also, we focus on mastering weight regain habits, identifying any habits that are stopping you from reaching your goals and create manageable strategies to get back on the straight and narrow so you can manage your weight for the rest of your life. And also, I focus with my clients in my Bariatric Nutrition Bootcamp on learning to trust your body and food. Start to enjoy your food again by relearning to listen to your body cues so you have less guilt and improve your relationship with food and your body. If you are ready to maximize your weight loss surgery results, feel confident in your journey, and be led with support and expert guidance, then the Bariatric Nutrition Bootcamp is for you. If you would like to know more about my coaching program, check out the link in the show notes.
So what I'd like to do now is share with you 4 key habits. And I'm going to go through them one by one, explain the habit, and also why it's so important. What is the outcome? What's the impact on how much we eat? And that big picture, that big goal of wanting to keep you satisfied at a lower energy intake after having weight loss surgery. So let me go through them now with you one by one. Now, number 1, small bites, chew well. So you could think, oh, that's just so simple. And how does that make a difference? And what does he mean by a small bite? What do you mean by chew well? All of these things pop up, and that's wonderful because we want to really dive into it and break it all down. Often, if you reflect on maybe how you ate your food, your meals, pre-surgery, often there is the habit of bigger bites and not chewing very well. Well, what happens then? And this really does connect very closely with the second one, with the second habit I'm going to talk about, eating slowly. But the small bites and chewing well is really important because, yeah, if you're having big bites and not chewing very well, that leads to eating really quickly, kind of getting food in. It supports that getting food in really faster than your tummy and your body can handle. And also, digestion actually starts in the mouth, doesn't start in the stomach. It certainly keeps going there. But the actual act of chewing and saliva, having saliva in your mouth, is actually starting to digest your food. So having small bites supports the second habit of kind of eating slowly, but also chewing well helps start that digestive process and also supports the second habit. So I wanted to break them up and really dig into them a little bit more. So as I was saying before, if you look at how you ate pre-surgery, whether it be yourself or even other people that your family members, friends, partners can share, did you have larger bites? Did you not chew your food very well? And it is great to reflect because that can be a habit you've done for so long. And it is challenging to break habits. Even if they're easy to understand, it's easy to understand or having a smaller bite and chewing well, chewing more times. But actually doing it on a regular basis is a lot more challenging. So when you've done those habits of maybe eating larger bites, not chewed very well for many, many years, we need to be really focused on changing or establishing a new habit. And so that's that wonderful beginning part of eating a meal, or the kind of basis of eating a meal is really getting the bites a lot smaller and chewing really well. I don't give my clients chew 20 times or chew 30 times. I really talk more about how do we kind of anchor and be mindful in the eating process and look at how much do we need to chew certain foods to feel comfortable then to swallow them. And when we really slow down the process of eating, it gives us that time to chew well. Small bites, we can look at how do we do that? How do we get those bites even smaller and see what your body says to you, how it, I suppose, responds, how it enjoys having a smaller bite and being chewed more. And we want to reflect and kind of check in on that. There's things we can do in our environment, such as having smaller cutlery and reminders and things, which I won't go into too much here. I really wanted to dig into the habits and the benefit of working on them. But there are things in our environment that can help us get those bites smaller and really help then remind us also to chew well. So simple to understand in a way, more challenging to do regularly. And I'm a big fan of putting things in our environment to remind us to keep practicing. Okay, we are so busy, we get used to eating in front of screens, talking to people, very distracted. We can get in that real default of just getting the food in to want to move on with the day. And after bariatric surgery, your body is not going to enjoy that. Your body wants you to slow down. Your body wants you to eat. And it can feel painfully slow. The bites can look very, very small. You may start off with like teaspoon-sized bites after bariatric surgery. And it can feel like, oh my goodness, how can I have got from what I was doing before to this? But it's a really, really important part of, I call them the weight loss surgery foundation eating habits, to help slow down your actual intake, listen to your body, not overeat. So that is number one, small bites, chew well. Number two, I pulled this apart because I wanted to really flesh this out. Eat slowly. Stop eating when you're satisfied or if 30 minutes comes around. Okay? So let me go through that a bit more. Eating slowly. Another habit that you say, well, we can say very easy to understand, much more challenging to do. When I had my practice in a very busy bariatric centre and I talked to people pre-surgery, I would say, do you eat rapidly or you eat slowly? 8 out of 10 people would say, I'm a rapid eater. And if they said, I'm not that fast, often their partner or the person sitting with them would say, actually, they do eat really quickly. And as I was talking about, it's really common and a very common habit in the area of bariatric surgery, but also the whole area of obesity, of eating really quickly. We don't have time to listen to the body, to check in on when we've had enough. This eating small bites, chew well, fits in right with this eating lower slowly. And then we'll talk about stopping eating satisfied in a minute. But eating slowly, so many people have said to me, Jane, I eat so much slower post-surgery than before, but I still feel like I'm not eating too quickly. And we get into that, and it can feel the pace that your body will like is so much slower than what can feel comfortable at a brain level. It can feel the time between each bite can be so slow and can feel so apart. And we can start off with 2 minutes between each bite, and that can feel just painfully slow, but it is worth it because you are going to give your body time to register how much you're eating and let when you've eaten enough. So eating slowly, and I'll connect it with stop eating when you're satisfied or if 30 minutes come around. So eating slowly, small bites, chewing well, and then checking in when you're satisfied. And if you've listened to my other podcasts, I talk a lot about being satisfied as opposed to full. You can feel like maybe I could have another bite, but I'm okay. And I know it's not going to be that long before I'm eating again. Before surgery, you can eat the volume that could last you for hours and hours. And often people report eating patterns of kind of feast and famine. A big meal in the evening, lots of food, and then nothing for breakfast, not much during the day. And then so they go long periods of not much and then can eat to catch up. Whereas after bariatric surgery, you can't. You need to eat small amounts regularly. But we want to find that spot, that lovely pace that allows us to stop when you think you can register, okay, I've had enough. So 1 and 2 fit together really closely. Why do I put a time limit on the meal? Because I've seen so often over time, people, yes, in the beginning, early meeting days, you're so motivated to reach your protein intake. And I've seen it. People say, well, I put on the plate, I think, well, I need to eat. And I only eat a bit of it or half of it, and it doesn't go down I feel like I've had enough, walk around the house, I come back to it. It takes me about an hour and a half to get through it. We do not want to be doing essentially a grazing eating pattern. Couple of reasons. One, it merges into the next meal time where you won't have that appetite to eat a good size meal or snack. That's one. And then you don't eat much there, but then not long after you need to eat a bit more, and that grazing cycle is perpetuated over the day. So that's one reason. Second one is you don't have good gaps to drink. I'm going to talk about not drinking with eating as one of my habits, but you don't have those nice kind of gaps of an hour and a half or whatever it is, 2 hours between each meal to have a nice drinking time, to chip away over the day towards your fluid goals. So that's why I like to put a limit on meals. It doesn't mean you have to eat for the whole 30 minutes, but it can just really help keep that meal discreet and not let it kind of go out. If you can't eat enough protein at each meal to reach protein goals, that's where I work with my clients on strategies to build up their protein more comfortably. So you don't feel the pressure of needing to eat all what's on your plate to reach your protein goals. Your body leads the way in a lot of your journey. We don't want to be forcing food down or overeating to reach your protein goals. We want to foster listening to the body. So let me just recap. Habit 1, I talked about small bites and chewing well. Yes, this links in really closely with the second one, which is eating slowly, stopping when you're satisfied or 30 minutes comes around. Okay. Now let me go on to habit 3. And you would have heard me talk about this because I think it's so important. And it's actually having regular meals. So eating regularly, having a good eating schedule, whatever the term that it's for you. You need to eat regularly after having weight loss surgery. We should be eating regularly before surgery as well. Eating regularly helps you regulate your appetite. After surgery, it helps you chip away towards your protein over the day. And ensures as we get more protein across the day, you're less likely to have hunger and cravings later in the day. It helps us manage some of that emotional eating if that's something there for you. But eating regularly is super, super important. Many people say If they don't eat regularly, they can feel really crummy. And it goes back to what I was just saying. Before surgery, you can eat large volumes that can sustain you for many, many hours. After surgery, you need to eat regularly because your portions are small. We need to kind of feed yourself regularly throughout the day. Okay? But these aren't ranked in any order of importance. They all really fit together and they help each other. I'll let how. When we eat regularly, we're less likely to start a meal over hungry, famished, that I need to eat. We start eating. It's so hard to eat slowly. So when we eat regularly, it helps regulate appetite. In the early days, you don't always have that really conscious high level hunger. That's something you learn to identify and becomes more identifiable in time. So when we eat regularly, you are going to start a meal and we want you to be ready and able to eat and have some appetite. But if you're over hungry, if you're so hungry, you're hungry to eat a horse, whatever, but just cannot slow down. And you don't have to have had bariatric surgery to know this feeling. But yeah, it's common. You start eating. So when we eat regular meals, it's easier to then follow that second habit of eating slowly. Okay, so they fit together. Small bites chewing well is part of and helps that eating slowly process. So you can see we can list them down as separate habits. They all fit together. And it all just reminding you of the ultimate goal is to really keep you satisfied after bariatric. Yeah, reach your protein goal, reach fluid goals, all of those things. But keeping you satisfied, satisfied's a lovely word. Satisfied, it's not hungry, it's not feeling deprived, it's not feeling a deficit of something. Keeping you satisfied at a lower energy intake. And that helps with weight maintenance, avoiding weight regain. These are also habits I talk about in the weight loss phase, and we can definitely apply this exactly to the weight loss phase, but I wanted to really drill down into the avoiding weight regain. So we want to avoid overeating. That's listening to the body, having discrete meals, eating slowly, which really helps that. When we eat regular meals and we chip away at our protein intake, it's going to help us later in the day when we're more likely to have emotional, I call them hotspots. We're more likely to have hotspots of wanting to eat for emotional reasons. And when we enter those hotspots and we are physically fed, I call it a cellular level, if we check in, we say, okay, actually, I'm not physically hungry, I'm okay there. We then have more space and opportunity to work very focused on that emotional eating, that desire to not eat emotionally. What do we do with that? How do we manage that? If you've got hunger there as well, your body's going to drive you to eat because your body its job is to keep you alive. Okay? So number 3 is regular meals, having a good eating schedule. And it's not a once and done, meaning you can need to eat more regularly in the early days after surgery. As you move further from surgery, you can get by with eating less often, and that's okay because you can eat more. We expect that you can eat a bit more in time, but it doesn't mean, kind of going back to that feast, it's still having a good eating schedule and eating regularly. And that's what I do with my clients, is find out what's the gap between meals that's going to work for you at this point. And how do we put that in place very practically? So that's number 3, eating regularly. Number 4 is very important. There's no reason it's at number 4, and it's something most of you will have heard of. Most bariatric surgeries will give this guideline, this habit, from day 1, and it's not drinking fluids with eating. Okay? And I want to dive into why, because it does link into the key habits. What we're talking about is key weight loss surgery foundation eating habits, so to avoid weight regain. So when we drink fluids with eating, it can do 2 things. There's 2 key reasons why we want to stop drinking before eating and wait for a period after eating. And for many people, this can be a really big one after bariatric surgery because you're so used to drinking with your meal. My guidelines are we want to stop drinking 15 minutes before food and then wait half an hour after. Other surgery centres will say 30 before, 30 after. It really there's just variation on it. But it's generally very much of a kind of a global, but all bariatric centres will be, 99% will be guiding their patients, their clients on this. So why? Okay, first reason, if you drink fluids when you're eating food, it can fill up sooner. You can get that pressure on your stomach or your pouch wall. It sends a signal you've had enough. It can fill you up. You stop eating. You haven't had enough protein in that meal. You haven't had enough food in that meal. And then not long after, you need to eat again. So we want to maximise, because you've got restriction, you've got decreased appetite, especially in the early to medium days. We want to really ensure that we are making the most of each meal and snack and getting a good amount of protein, maximising it, and allowing time to get that full satiety from that meal. Satiety being satisfied. And so waiting half an hour after eating before you start drinking again helps with that. It allows you to have that full satiety, all of that. That's after you finish from the finish time. The second reason why we recommend not drinking with eating, our bodies are really, really amazingly smart, and they're doing all these things we don't even know about it. One of them is that they, particularly like if you've got a sleeve and you've still got your pyloric sphincter at the end of your tummy, and that's the sphincter between your stomach and the first part of your small intestine, your duodenum. It waits for your stomach contents to get to a certain consistency, a liquid, certainly kind of semi-liquidy, broken down like consistency. And then it opens up and allows that food to then go into the small intestine. Because your body, as we talked about before, you start digesting in your mouth, but it continues down your GI tract. So that's great. We want that. When we drink, when we eat, we're kind of flushing, you could say, so that's how some people say, prematurely getting that food to leave the tummy and stomach or pouch and move into the intestine prematurely. We're not getting that full length of time from the satiety of that meal. Now remember, I'm going back to one of the key goals. I want to keep you satisfied, that's not hungry, at a lower energy intake. So we don't want to flush out and move the food out of your stomach sooner than your tummy is ready, because we want it to fully digest, we want to have that full satiety, and then your body will take care of it. So wonderful. Let me recap on the 4 habits that I have talked about. 1, take small bites and chewing well. Number 2, eating slowly and stopping eating when you're satisfied or if 30 minutes comes around. Number 3, eating regular meals. So I call it eating schedule. Really, it's eating regular meals, eating regularly to keep you satisfied across the day. Number 4 is not drinking when you eat. A really common challenge for many, many people to kind of move out of that drinking with their food and being comfortable not to drink with their meals and snacks. So thank you so much for listening to this podcast, getting to this point, because it means you're really nearly at the end. I appreciate your support, and I hope you found it of value. I hope you found, even if there's one nugget or sometimes it's just one phrase someone says that really kind of hits home, makes you think about, maybe I could be doing something a little bit different, and maybe I haven't even, or I could be looking at how I'm doing things a little bit differently. So I hope you found value. Thank you so much. If you would like to propose a topic, ask a question, or even a comment, wonderful. Please pop into the show notes. You'll see the link, Ask Jane. You just have to share your first name, and I will give you a shout out here. I will answer your question, and thanks so much. Look forward to being back in your ears in the next podcast. Bye for now.